One. Welcome to Something Radio. We are back with little Dave, and we are here for round two of Q&A, maybe three, depending on how long we ramble on each one of these. So let's just get right into it because I would like to try to get all these answered. So question number one, what's the difference between the seated leg press? Let's see. Origin has an incline and a straight press. Had to use a straight the other day and was able to get over 100 pounds more. So I'm assuming like a horizontal press versus a standard
hmm
45-degree leg press.
So the one with the regular leg press is less hips, and the one with horizontal is more hips.
Correct.
So the weight curve is way different. Also, I mean, being able to use your hips more, you're stronger.
Agreed.
Um, I honestly, I feel that the hip press is a lot more ass,
Yeah.
like more glutes than quads.
Mhm.
So I like it more for like training for females. I don't think it's super necessary. Like, I mean, it's not a bad press, depending on how it's used, obviously.
Correct.
But I'd rather do the higher incline for quads.
Agreed. You and I are the same way. Like, so what's interesting is I actually think have you ever used the hammer strength plate loaded one of those, the horizontal?
Yeah, yeah,
I think that is actually pretty damn heavy.
yeah.
The way I like to use that is I like to put a band on it, like two orange bands. So the thick, not the little skinny ones, but the thicker,
Mhm.
double that shit over. Like I like that. But what you have to remember is if the platform's here, if this is my heel, it has to be low and off of it. So you press through almost like the ball of your foot, like to me. Um,
Mhm.
I'm trying to think of all the other ones. The horse, I like the cable hammer strength or life fitness leg press. That
Mhm.
feels really good. I also 9 times out of 10 though, like you and I are gonna have to put 4 or 5 bands on there to get enough tension. If we're gonna do anything anything remotely below 20 reps.
Yeah,
So we're kind of limited there. I've never put a gym pin in that. I probably should just try to do that.
I've done that a couple times.
Oh, okay. Okay. But I think, if you and I were doing that and we really crushed our quads and then finished with that and then did that like John Meadows thing where I need to come up with a word for that 4 set because I post it and people are like, what is that? And if you don't know what that is, you do 20 reps continuous and then you up the weight 50 pounds and then you do 15 continuous, 5 pulse reps. So pulsing in the hole, meaning at the deepest portion of the rep. Then you do 10 and 10, and then you finish with 5 and 15. And each set you go up in weight, meaning making it harder or heavier. And then that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, that's like probably one of the harder ones to do. It sounds so easy on paper, but I think takes your
Yes.
lunch money.
Yes, because you get to like the first continuous 20 aren't bad. The 15 and 5 aren't bad, but when you hit that 10-10, those last like 5-ish reps, 4-ish reps, you're like, dear God, how am I going to go heavier and do more pauses? Like, I think that's one of the times where you and I actually would consider that almost a volume approach. But even though each one of those are pretty damn hard.
Yeah,
So yeah. But yeah, like you said, me with you, if you're gonna do the horizontal one, you have to have your feet very low on the platform. I do like that Rogers hip press. That feels
yeah.
incredible.
That
Um,
one is probably one of the few I actually feel a lot more in quads.
yes. Yeah,
Just the way that one's designed.
agreed.
A lot of the hip presses at the bottom, since the weight goes down,
Yes.
there's so little weight here. But where with the Rogers, they stuck the weight on a thing, so it still pushes into you at the bottom.
Correct. Yes. I mean, John and I have worn that out multiple times. I love that thing.
Yeah,
I wish Dwayne had a space for that at his gym.
it's so big, but
It's monstrous. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's absolutely huge. So, the difference there, I would say this, and I'm sure you feel the same way. Like, if your goal is quad growth, do the one that feels the best for you.
yeah,
If you feel the hip press or the seated where it's horizontal more, do it. Bounce back and forth. Go a stint of like 4 weeks on one and switch, go 4 weeks on the other. Like that's how I kind of view training. Like just to keep it not necessarily fresh, but let's say you're doing leg press at the normal traditional 45-degree angle and you just max that thing out to where you're getting zero progress, just switch to the other one. Like,
mhm.
and then restart your progression. And then when you burn that one out, switch back. Or you can go one leg or lots of different variations. Change your foot stance. I think we've worn that out. When would you want to increase creatine dosage and why? Say, and the example was from 5 grams to 10 grams.
Honestly, if you're above 160, I'd probably start going over 5 grams. I mean, most of the studies done on creatine for 5 grams, we're talking like that's for a 110-pound female.
Right.
That's like the minimum effective dose.
Right. Yep.
Um, you're gonna waste your money if you're taking 20 grams a day,
Right. Yes.
but like there's nothing wrong with taking 10 grams.
Agreed.
You
Yeah.
know, it's not gonna be like it's not like drinking one energy drink and drinking two energy drinks. It's not like you're gonna double the effectiveness,
No.
but it might just be a little bit better.
Agreed. I'm the same man. I think ever since I've been over 185, I've taken 10 grams just consistently. So yeah,
Yeah.
take it up. Do you think nicotine has any negative impact on muscle building?
If you can't eat on it
That's exactly what I was
or it
going to say.
messes your digestion up, sure.
If it blunts appetite, which is why most people use it for prep.
Hmm.
All the European guys I've ever worked with, they're all like chain cigarette smokers in the pre-contest phase. Fun fact, they're all peeled.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting you start smoking cigarettes, but I'm just saying, like, I think it's a cultural thing for them too. Like,
Hmm.
they just chain smoke cigarettes. And the only way I found out is one of my guys sent me a video of him gassed out on hack squat. And I was like, bro, like, what is wrong with you? He's like, man, as soon as I start smoking cigarettes, I can't breathe worth of shit. And I'm like, you smoke cigarettes? He's like, oh yeah, fuck, we all do. He's like, that's how you blunt your appetite. I'm like, all right, got it. But I mean, I know a lot of coaches will recommend like Nicorette, like that chewing gum for their
Hmm.
client. I personally have never done it, only because I mean, listen, I've watched my dad. I think my dad smoked cigarettes since he was 10, and he's over 70 now. And
Yeah.
I watched his lung collapse when I was 14, and I have no desire to go down that path. So,
Yeah.
and I know I have extreme addictive personality. So if I start smoking cigarettes, like I would just
Yeah.
probably
You're
need
smoking
to
a lot of
smoke.
them.
Correct.
Yeah. Same boat here.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Thoughts on isolated core training? How often in your movement choices? I mean,
Well, I personally like doing it more frequently and less volume.
yes,
With like apart from training
agreed.
and or at the end of a back day, just the end of the back day is more of like, all right, cool. Now I can sit in my car comfortably,
Agreed. Yep.
you know.
Yep.
But the movements, I think for abs, people overcomplicate the shit out of that.
1000%. I,
Like, uh, I kind of like all like the 3 play, like a static hold, a crunch, and then a weight somewhere where you're lifting your hips up,
same.
something like of that sort. So hanging leg raise, a crunch, and a plank.
Yep. You and I are on the same page there. I like you. It's gonna sound funny, but they're more palatable for me in short doses.
Yeah,
Um, I know some guys like to go in there and just like crank abs for like 20, 30 minutes. I would want to do anything else, to be honest with
no,
you. I like it fast and furious. All the movements you listed spot on to me. I like for in terms of me doing them at my house. Like, so I have a rogue pull-up bar, so hanging leg raises. I throw a red band over top of them. I do banded crunches that John taught us. I like Bosu ball crunches, planks, like you said, and then the only piece I'll add to that is vacuum holds,
yeah,
for TBA. And I'll post in the description a video on how to do all those TBA holds and what I recommend. So
yeah.
I made one of those.
I
They're
think I think most people forget what like if you're lifting at all have if you unrack 315 on a squat, like what are your abs doing?
yeah.
You know, they're working.
Right.
So
Right.
as long as like you have some kind of any movement with with your core is braced under load, like they're gonna develop.
Right. Agreed. For years, so John used to write them in his programs early on, and I would always find myself either skipping them or just half-assing my way through them. So I did them first to kind of warm up. Um, and for him, it was always typically 4 sets of a hanging leg raise, 4 sets of a crunch. So I do
Mhm.
8 sets to start back or legs, and then I get rolling.
Yeah.
And or arms, anything, or a pump day, I would do it on those days, to where it's less taxing. I would occasionally do it on leg day to start if my lower back was feeling tight. Um,
Mhm.
and again, that's just like getting movement in and around my spine. So again, you could do them anytime, but like you, I like them early in the morning. I've always felt like I can get a better connection to them fasted because I have nothing in my stomach like protruding my abs at all. So again, yep, more like you said, more frequent, 3, 4, 5 times a week. I don't think you need seven, but that's my opinion.
Mhm.
All right, let's see. What part of nutrition would you say is the most commonly overlooked in the fitness space?
What part of nutrition?
Mhm.
Nutrient density.
Yeah. Yep. I would say now protein is often overlooked as a
Yeah.
necessity in terms of the amount you and I both
Oh
eat.
yeah. I know it's weird seeing everybody like seeing people be like, I'm eating 200 grams of protein a day, and as a body like it's like so you're eating like a normal person.
Yep, I know. And
Like,
a lot of times they count like protein from Ezekiel bread, and they're like, "Oh,
mhm.
that counts," or from their peanut butter. I'm like, "No, bro,
Yeah.
stop." You know, I don't know if you've had a chance to listen to the Jay Cutler podcast where he had Ronnie Coleman on, but Ronnie's these are exact words. He asked me, he said, "What was it like when you switched to Chad Nichols?" And he said, "Chad Nichols took my protein from 12 ounces cooked to 16 ounces cooked, and I went from 275 to 325 in one off season." Now, realize that he's the best bodybuilder of all time, so those numbers are slightly inflated, probably in comparison to what you're going to do. But imagine if you're eating 4 to 5 ounces of meat right now and you took it to 7 or 8, what that would do for your physique and your
Mhm.
strength. So I really challenge, and that's including females too. I know a lot of females are scared to eat above 3 ounces, and I'm like, and he did say in that podcast too, he's like, it's the hardest thing I ever had to do in bodybuilding to learn how to eat 16 ounces of steak, turkey, and chicken. He said it was absolutely horrible, and it took him 3 months to get used to it. Three
Mhm.
fucking months, 12 weeks. Like, so the proof is in the pudding there. Um,
Yeah.
uh, I know I'm not going to recommend most people eat 16 ounces of protein, but
Yeah.
just if you think about that percentage base going from 12 to 16 ounces cooked, that's a third more protein per meal.
Yeah.
If you're looking at it that way. So to me, it's there. Also, something else is in my mind is the, as you said, nutrient density. That to me pairs very similar to like the quality of the nutrients. Like,
Yeah, exactly what I meant by that.
okay, perfect. So, you and I are never going to say cottage cheese is a great source of protein, or I'm not. We also don't believe that whey is 100% equal to chicken. I have no scientific data to prove that shit. Do I drink shakes? Yes. Do you drink shakes? Yes. But you and I both know when it's time for a crunch time of bodybuilding show, we're eating all whole food.
Hmm.
And I've always wondered this too, like, through especially that beginning portion of your rebound, when I still have all whole food in there, you grow the best off of it. We eventually get the shakes because food just gets so damn high. But it's always something I've always wanted to look in and study into more. But yeah, I think just if I had to say a whole, it's the laziness that people put into their nutrition planning because what you and I do on a daily basis is hard. It's not easy
Yeah.
in terms of eating 6 whole food meals or 5 whole food meals in a shake and doing that like clockwork. And there, again, as it is with most things in this new generation, for some reason, people are trying to beat the proven the proven anecdotal evidence of, hey, the biggest humans on the planet eat the most.
Hmm. Yeah. Nowadays it's a Quest bar and a protein cookie, and you're like, I'm gonna be the best bodybuilder on the planet. It's like
Yep.
probably not, but
I always, for some reason, get these like fitness chicks Instagram like follow me for eating for the day, and I watch them out of hope, like, please God, is this going to be good? And I'm always amazed by just the garbage protein sources they choose. And then they post a video of them with like pumped glutes, and women are like, "Oh, I want to look like that." And I'm like, I'd love to know what their digestion is like.
yeah,
I,
yeah. Especially I've seen somewhere like 80% of their diet's like whey based. They have like
yes,
It's like
Yep.
yogurt and blueberries for breakfast,
Yep.
whey protein and peanut butter for snack, and then they have yogurt or cottage cheese, you know, and
Yep.
then like just fucking Fairlife protein shakes. And it's
Yes.
like every single one of those is milk based.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I always think, God, I'd hate to be your boyfriend or husband.
Yeah.
You gotta smell fucking horrible.
Yeah.
Huh. Oh well. Yeah. So I think all in all, like you and I are on the same page. Just quality of nutrients and then protein consumption, especially now in this newer generation of carbs are protein sparing. Shut up. Don't talk to me about that.
Yeah.
Let's see. What would you estimate your monthly expenses are related to bodybuilding? I don't want to fucking know. Please don't tell me.
Right. Especially now, dude, fucking food prices are just keep going up.
Agreed. I know. I know. Like, all right, so I'm trying to think here. If I added my food up and then all the therapy, it would probably, I don't want to talk about that out loud. I mean, because I just don't want to talk about that. Luckily, I'm fortunate enough where I don't have to pay for supplements of any kind anymore. So, uh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's ugh. And I have so many Gasp and Iron Rebel clothes that I haven't bought any of that in a while. So, and then as I talked about last week, I have so many shoes to pull from. I don't buy those anymore. So, f food and therapy are not cheap. And that's what I spend most of my money for bodybuilding on. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, the thing with like always gets me about people, like I think that it gets viewed as an excuse more than anything, is how expensive bodybuilding is.
Yeah.
Sometimes I really like breaking it down. Like chicken and rice is probably the cheapest fucking thing you can buy.
Oh, agreed.
When
Yeah.
and it comes down to it, right? If
Mhm.
you're eating that 3 times a day and the other times a day, like you're eating fucking meat and potatoes,
Yeah.
like you're probably spending tops $30 a day on food,
Agreed. Yeah.
right? Please show me what else you could be eating for that cheap
Oh, agreed. Yeah.
while maintaining something like athletic or sustainable that way. Like, you know what I mean? Like as far as food goes, like in reality, if you're doing it, if you're growing your meat, you're making and cooking your meals,
Yeah.
that side of things is probably cheaper than day-to-day life for some people. Because I
Yeah.
can't tell you how many people I tell me that like, oh man, bodybuilding is fucking expensive. While they're holding a Starbucks coffee and they're wearing fucking Jordans.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's like, okay, you have $300 shoes on, you're drinking a $12 coffee.
Right.
That
Yep.
$12 coffee is easily 3 meals of chicken and rice.
Oh, 100%. Yes.
You know,
Agreed. Yep.
so I mean, yeah, there are expensive parts. Like, yes, bodybuilding is expensive when it comes to food stuff,
Yep.
food supplements, physical therapy, gym memberships, or whatever you want to go down to. But like, so is life.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about this, right? If you and I legitimately went to Chipotle and got double rice, double steak, and a bottle of water or a Coke Zero, it's what, $15 to $20 probably for one
Yeah,
meal. If we go to like a Longhorn or Outback Steakhouse, I mean, what's that? $25 for a steak, potato, and salad? Like,
yeah,
like you said, I know that I save money by fixing it at home. Um, so that to me is just logically makes sense. So I can get a bottle of olive oil for $8 to $10, a bag of rice for $25 that'll last me a good time, and then I get meat for at Fresh Market for $3.99 a pound when it's on sale. So
that reminds me.
yeah,
This morning, I made a pot of rice for the rest of the day.
yeah,
Finished off bag number 3 of my off-season rice. So we're 75 pounds deep in rice so far in the off season. We just hit week 13 of the off season to give you guys an idea.
yes, yeah. Do you get yours off of Amazon or you go to Costco?
I got a Costco.
Okay.
Yeah, the 25-pound bags from Costco.
Because they have that one. I get one off of Amazon. It's like Tahitian. It's a green bag, and I think it's $52 for
Yeah.
25. Yeah.
Yeah, Costco's not bad. I think Costco is like $22 for the bag of
Oh
rice.
shit! Hell yeah.
So
Okay.
it's like,
That's great.
and that lasts for a minute.
Yeah, and see, I'm sure what's factored into that Amazon price is shipping.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Um,
It's 25-pound bag of rice.
right, right. So What's really interesting about that is, again, if we make I really believe this. I know that is a common misconception that bodybuilding or just eating healthy is more expensive. I really challenge the people who say that to just write down all their food expenses from gas stations, from fast food, delivery, all the shit that you have to get to eat. I guarantee it's less than what you and I eat for a day, and we probably eat triple the volume that they do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the girl who we get eggs from gives me 18 farm fresh eggs for $4. Cannot beat that.
No.
So, yeah, just to give you some examples there. But no, I don't want to know how much my food prices are. Just don't. Let's see. In your opinion, should the IFBB pros have to qualify at least annually to retain that title unless officially retired and or due to medical reasons? So do you think people should have to compete every year to still be a pro?
Oh, that's kind of a hard one. I mean, like in reality, like if you're once you hit that pro level, it's not like you're gonna just step on stage after 5 years of dinking around and do well.
No, no,
We'd know
no.
it. So I mean, there's no reason. I mean, you could definitely still call yourself a professional bodybuilder, but like I'm guessing that's being asked because like there was a lot of people who their goal is to get a pro card and they get that and that's their why they bodybuild.
Right,
So then they stop bodybuilding, and that's totally. I mean, that if that's what you want to do, have at it.
right,
But like, there's a lot of people who like their pro card was just like they got it because of some like their love for the actual sport of bodybuilding.
right.
You
Yeah,
know, so like they continue to do bodybuilding shit.
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, here's my thought process. If I played one snap in an NFL game, I'm telling people I'm in the NFL or I played in
Yeah,
the NFL. I mean,
yeah.
if I was on a roster for Christ's sake, I'd say I was on an NFL roster. I was part of the 52 men on the Redskins or Cowboys or Eagles, fill in the blank. Like I, the one of the girls turned pro, she hasn't competed in 9 years. And I believe in my heart, if she moved back here and trained with me, she could compete at the Arnold in a year or less. I see
Hmm.
her photos in bikinis all the time. She's still that good because those genetic elite, those genetics never leave.
Hmm.
Like so, no, I don't think so. I mean, I think life comes up. I think health things come up. I think maybe you could just have an injury and don't feel like you could be your all-time best, or like you said, like the pro card was your Super Bowl. You achieved what you wanted. Now you stepped away and do something else in life. Like so, no, I don't think so. I think if once you achieve that, you can do whatever the fuck you want with it. You still have to pay for it if you want to retain it, which
Yeah,
most people
yeah.
don't know, by the way, and it's not cheap. Let's see here. Do you think it's far easier to turn pro now than say 2010 days, or do you view it as a good thing?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, there were so many more classes.
Yeah,
Like shit, when I got it in bodybuilding, they just barely made men's physique,
right. Yeah.
and now you have men's physique, class physique, bodybuilding. Um, I'm not the biggest fan of how many pro cards they hand out at the nationals and stuff.
Right.
Like, I don't think they should do first and second in every category.
Agreed.
You
Yeah.
know, especially in bodybuilding. Like, I honestly don't think anything below light heavy should get a pro card
Agreed.
because it just doesn't make sense. Like,
Yeah.
if you're a bodybuilder and you're going to turn pro, but you're to be a professional bodybuilder, you compete in 212 or the open.
Yeah.
Like, you should probably be close to those weights.
Yeah. Agreed.
Like there's no disrespect for the bantam weights out there who got the pro card, but like if like Sean Clarita would be a great example. He does just fine with the big guys.
Yep.
He doesn't even need that category. He could have won light heavies and when he competed and won his when he got his pro card, he would have done just fine.
Here, I think North Americans does it right for men's open.
Yeah.
You have to win your class and then you have to finish top four in the open.
Hmm.
I think they get it right.
Yeah.
Now, you can even argue you could say top three, right? because I've witnessed middleweights and lightweights beat light heavies, supers, or even middleweights.
Mhm.
So I think they get it right there. Because like you said, if you're 135, the probability of you, and that goes back to the previous question, right? If you win as a bantam at nationals, you're going to need at least 3 or 4 years to even look respectable on a 212 stage or
Mhm.
classic stage or fill in the blank where you're going to do it. Even men's physique, for fuck's sake, those dudes are huge. Like, so yeah, do I think it's easy? Yes, because numerically they're giving out more pro cards to where, and I would even, if you want to go back further than 2010, where you had to win the overall at nationals or USA's North Americans, like that is an even harder challenge. And that creates a very, very elitist pro level class because it's so much smaller. At the end of the day, I think this the cream will always rise to the top.
Yeah.
Like the top six of the Olympia were always going to be the top six in Olympia, no matter if they give out 20 pro cards or one. Like
Mhm.
those dudes would all find a way there because they're the best, right? Like when Derek Lunsford turned pro at USA's and won the overall, he smoked everyone. So yeah, that's how I look at it. So yes, is
Mhm.
it easier because they're giving out more and there's more divisions? 100%. Because like when I started bodybuilding, there was only three. It was men's and women's bodybuilding and then figure. And that was it. And then after 2 years of competing, they brought in men's physique. So, and that was a way different look than it is now.
Mhm.
So, yeah. So yes, we both do think it's easier. Um, do you think the IFBB and NPC supports the athletes enough?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, they're definitely doing their job on that side of things.
I think so too. Yeah. I mean, especially now, I think Fuad was a good positive change in the black backgrounds. I think
Yeah.
that's huge. I think the prize money going up, huge. Um, as far as the NPC level, I think they do the best they can given how many people they have to manage at the national level.
Mhm.
I mean, how do you, and I'll speak very candidly here, at North Americans in bikini, there were 620 some girls. You know how small that backstage area is at North Americans.
Mhm.
It was standing room only. There's nothing else they could do. Then you get loaded into lines after you get glazed. Then you have a loading dock where you pump up. Then you have a pre-stage, stage, and then you're on. Like, good luck doing that with 600 women.
Yeah.
Who, oh, by the way, also have crossovers. Like, yeah, it's just a clusterfuck in a national show, and you got to come to terms with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of the excitement of it, right? And that's part of learning how to manage your emotions because it's not going to be quick. It's not going to be easy. It isn't like a regional show where, all right, men's bodybuilding's first, and you're going to be on stage in 13 minutes.
Yeah.
It's just, it's not how it's going to be.
Yeah. Your competitor number seven, you
Yeah.
know?
Right. It's like you and two other heavyweights. Maybe.
Yeah.
No, no, not at all. So, part of me that adds to the fun of the game because it's like it takes experience, and I think there's something to be said about that, right? Like there's that's why to me, if you had a coach who's been there or if you've been there, it's easier to get through that process. Um,
Mhm.
Experience comes from doing, obviously. All right, let's see. To what extent do you think most professionals and underplay are underplaying drug use? We all aware of the prevalence of PEDs in bodybuilding, but many competitors will list a PED regimen that seems quite short or low dose. Do you think some cases they are honest and are hyper responders, or is it pretty widespread dishonesty?
I feel like most people are pretty honest with that.
Yeah,
I think people undervalue the amount of time spent doing the right things because
agreed.
on the internet, you see hundreds of kids posting their cycles who, barely look like if you met them at fucking Walmart, you wouldn't, the first thing in your mind when you met them wouldn't be gym,
No.
and they're running grams of fucking gear
Yep.
versus you run into a pro and he's like, yeah, I do, 700 milligrams of test and 500 milligrams of primo as an off season cycle. People are like, that's bullshit.
Right.
And it's like, oh, by the way, I haven't missed a meal in 9 years.
Right.
I haven't missed a training session in 15.
Right. Agreed.
And it's like, oh, versus like you got the guy over there who's running grams and he's like, well, I did this and my litter box had to be taken out, so I missed the gym session, and I haven't eaten meals 1 through 3 in the last week because I wasn't hungry, and there's just a multitude of excuses,
Yep.
but they're trying to cover up with gear use.
Yep. I, I will say this. I have seen all the cycles that John had his Olympia guys use. I was underwhelmed. I think I've said that before.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen what he used. I was underwhelmed.
Yeah.
I know what I prepped you on for the first show. No one would believe me. No one, zero. I know what I prepped with Matt Porter and won the heavyweight and only lost to Cade Zook, who turned pro 3 weeks later. I know how little I was on, and no one would believe me if I posted it.
Mm-hmm.
So I, I think that it is widely over portrayed of how much you need, which is why I think a lot of good top pros, they don't even talk about it online because they know here's what you're fighting. I'm sure you've seen that video of Rich Piana where he's like on the beach and he's talking about the craziest cycle he'd ever run. And it was
Mm-hmm.
like 2 IUs of growth every hour and eating 12 meals and a gram of this and a gram. I think everyone gravitates and says, okay, that's the way. That's what everyone's doing who's huge.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not true. I'm not saying that people aren't reckless and crazy, but I think the good top level pros that everyone follows on Instagram would be shocked if they followed around their favorite pro and were like, that's it? Really? Yeah. It's real. It's taken on time. It's not missed. And then, as you said, nutrition and training are have been cemented into the foundation of them. You do that, man, good shit happens. And I try to tell people that it is you can get away with far less if it's good and if you do all the other shit right. And
Mm-hmm.
which is why most guys, I think, as they mature in bodybuilding, find them they can actually take less and get just as much, if not more. So, yeah, that's my two. I think it. Again, I'm going to say this as a disclaimer. I think there's people who are reckless as shit, so don't hear that and think, oh, Chris is just trying to gaslight us all. There are people who are reckless and does it and ram anything and everything into their body. I think
Mm-hmm.
as I said, most of the pros you watch, see, and look and love, you would be underwhelmed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's pretty like you always can see, like, watch when someone stops bodybuilding. I've met a ton of like local, competitors who are gunning for their pro card, and they're like, fuck this. And then 3 months later, they're down 70 pounds.
Oh yeah,
And you're like, what? Versus like hard earned muscle doesn't just deteriorate.
right. Yes,
Versus drug earned muscle, just it will leave you.
yes.
So
Yeah.
and there's a difference there in like the quality of physiques definitely changes, right?
Oh
You
yeah.
know, versus like, and like that's where you can see like, oh, maybe that was for muscle doesn't just like want to fall off you if you actually earned it.
Agreed.
But if you just put it on by taking 200 milligrams of Anadrol every day, like no shit that's gonna fall off.
Right. Right. Here's what's interesting, and I'll say this: on a cruise or blast or all season, my shirt size never changes.
Mm-hmm.
It only goes up as I get bigger. It isn't like, oh, Chris, you're on a cruise now, and now I need a 2XL as opposed to three. Nope, that's not true. It just ain't quite as tight.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would argue that probably most people can't tell at your gym when you're full tilt in the off season and on a cruise in the off season. They understand pre-contest and off season. That's a different look
Mm-hmm.
completely. But I would bet most people wouldn't know the difference when I put you on a cruise.
Yeah.
They don't see it. They don't know. All right, let's. I mean, this one's funny as hell, and we actually talked about this after the after the show last time. Have you ever been pressured or offered to do porn?
Right. No.
Okay, I said this to you. I've never been pressured to do porn in my life. As I said to you, like I've never been to a Diddy party also, so maybe that's a whole other world I know nothing about. Uh,
Right.
I have definitely been offered multiple times. I shared a funny story with you that I'm not going to talk about here, but I've never done it and I've never definitely been pressured to it. So multiple offers, no thank you, hard pass.
Yeah. Yeah. Very hard pass.
Yeah, it's kind of a again, I think I said this to you, like maybe it's in a different world. Like if I started dating a girl who did OnlyFans, like maybe that would be different. It's like, hey Chris, come be in my video. How much you never have to work again? Maybe I'm not. Maybe I would say no to that. I don't know.
Yeah. If I'm making 10 grand a week, we'd be a different story.
Right. Hold on. How much?
But
One video a day, and I can go train and eat and sit my ass on the couch. Talk less.
yeah.
I have, yeah, I don't think I have any moral objection to it, but listen, and I will say this: I think most guys probably assume you get jacked, you get lean, you'll get all these girls. It doesn't happen. You get jacked, you get lean, you get huge, and every dude on the planet is in your DM, wanting you to do weird, disgusting things. Um, uh, and if you're into that, by all means, go for it. I am not. I'm perfectly straight, and I am married, so that's done with one woman, and that's it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So yeah, that's all I really have to say about that. Let's see. If you're on a blast and your bloods and everything are perfect or almost perfect, is there a reason to stop? I mean, what's the point of doing something like a bridge or a health phase if you're actually healthy on blast? Isn't that a waste of your time? You basically progress year round and do a break only when necessary.
Well, how much of a blast are you blasted if you're not changing your health markers?
Right. Yeah, that's what I would think too. Where's your food? All that stuff too. Um,
That one's kind of one of those things that actually kind of makes me laugh. It's like I know there's a trend of checking your blood glucose and your heart rate and all this shit, and then people freak out if it's out of range. It's like if you're pushing things north, those things are going to elevate,
oh yeah,
and if they're not, you're doing something wrong.
right. Yeah,
That's the like your body will change from something uncomfortable.
yeah,
So if your food's not high enough to change your blood glucose after a point, I'm not saying immediately,
right. Yeah.
like you're not eating enough,
Correct.
you know?
Something else I think here too is I think people don't factor in like receptor sensitivity.
Hmm.
Eventually, it's like drinking that same monster drink every morning. You don't feel it. You're just drinking it for taste.
Yeah.
So I've always kind of thought about the body operates very well in, for lack of a better word, cycles, right? This is something you and I talked about with your last update. The reason you've progressed so well is we go pre-contest to rebound to off week to health phase to off season to repeat.
Hmm.
Each one of those has not a completely different strategy, but a different strategy within itself. Things that are constant, hard training, 6 meals, higher protein for the most part. But outside of that, like there's a reason that wave technique tends to work really well. It's very similar to where I love like a 3 carb rotation for pre-contest where you have off days where your food's lower, you have base days where your food's moderate, and you have high days where your food's through the roof. I will always believe that there will come a point in a blast where something breaks, whether that be health, joint, or brain, digestion, something. Like as you said, if you're doing it right. If I'm pounding food during a blast, my drugs are on the high end, or high end for us, however you want to say that, and your training is constantly going this way. Eventually, you're going to need to step away at some one of those points. Like so, and that's anyone I've worked with. I've yet to find someone who I can just hammer fucking pedal to the floor for a year. Now, I'm not going to do that anyways, but anytime we reach like 12 to 16 week mark, everyone I can tell it's like we need to throttle back a bit. That means
Hmm.
maybe training needs to go to 4 days a week. That may mean we need less volume. We may need less supplements. There's something to like cleaning the body out and then reintroducing those same exact drugs that you're pulling that just does wonders.
Hmm.
And the problem with this society is everybody wants growth now, 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 where if you just exercise a little bit of patience, good things happen.
So true.
Yeah. So yeah, don't get caught up in that, man. Literally 12 to 16 weeks, 20 weeks tops, and then chill the fuck out. Like,
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, like, that doesn't mean you have to stop training or anything like that.
Right.
Like,
Yes.
or you can't train hard without drugs.
Yeah.
You
Agreed.
know, like, it's just that you're just modulating things.
Yeah. Patience. Something most don't have. All right.
Mm.
Since you are 40 now, what advice can you give newer guys, specifically younger, to the crowd on training? What have you learned over the years that has been the most beneficial? Rest days, all day long. That's number one. I used to think, and I used to wear as a badge of honor, I could train 7 to 10 times a week. Can't do that. I shouldn't have been doing that. When John took my programming over, I saw some of the best growth over 4 days per week. Four total, not four a day. Like,
Yeah.
as you and I've talked multiple times, I think 4 to 5 times a week is about perfect as you're going to get. 2 on, 1 off is what I've been doing now, and I love it.
Yeah.
As we talked earlier about the chiropractic, body work, all that stuff, like huge stretching, mobility, I did not listen to. I should have. And then I think not being pigheaded on doing exercises I didn't feel. So
Yeah.
I wasted so many years doing what I thought I was supposed to do because that's what fill in the blank professional or expert said. And I was like, God, I don't fucking feel that. And I denied what I did feel because I didn't trust my own instincts. So yeah, there's something to be said about, like, I knew I was good at squatting. Why I thought I needed a front squat when every time I did it, I didn't feel it nearly as much. Stupid. All those times I should just put that bar from my chest and put that shit on my back. Like,
Mm.
so something like that, I think I fucked up a lot when I was young. He said training, so I won't go into the food stuff, but the food thing, eat more, be smarter with nutrition. All the things we talked about at the beginning about less shakes, more whole food. Yeah, that's it. All right, let's see. Oh, final question. We've actually rolled through these things. Thoughts on slow reps, and he said both positive and negative. I'll let you talk because yeah,
Yeah. Well, if you're doing a top set and you can actually eat, if you're trying to feel the concentric part of the rep, you're not going hard enough.
1000% agree. It
Your
was
muscle's job is to go in that direction.
yes, yes. I think if most people watched us under a heavy load, they would say, "Oh man, they really exercise some serious control over the negative," and I would agree. But man, the positive, you and I are both ripping that bitch as aggressive as possible, even though it may inch.
Yeah.
The intent is not slow. The intent is to throw it through the roof. So I absolutely hate it. I'll be honest with you. The negative, like slower negatives, I've always been a fan of. Like I like that.
Mm.
But the positive portion of the rep, ram that bitch as hard as you fucking can. And John scientifically broke that down one time in one of his videos about why going slow on the positive portion is absolutely garbage and there's zero scientific studies showing its effectiveness. And I just believe in that. I don't think like now look, I know I think you've seen it and I've seen it like Dennis James or Milos make some of his guys go like every other rep, every third rep, every 10th rep, like super slow positive, and they love that. That's a singular like one-off on an exercise. But I'm seeing these guys and girls go in there and they're like chest pressing like this intentionally.
Yeah.
Stop. It is
I've had
stupid.
to I've had to unbrainwash so many clients
Yeah.
because they get told what that's the way to train
Yep.
is this trying to grow, like, look at, if you're like, you're not going to grow your muscles by squeezing them harder.
No. No.
They don't work that way.
No.
Someone who is growing from squeezing just has better genetics, and they would be growing way better if they weren't doing that.
Agreed.
you
Agreed.
know and that's the end of it. Like, it just doesn't happen. Like, if you can squeeze a rep up, you're not fucking going hard enough.
No. No. I always wonder with those people, it's like if you put another plate on there and hit it harder, you would see so much more growth. And that's what I think. All
Hmm.
and then, oh, Chris, but the connectivity I have to it, awesome. But it's not going to grow off of that little weight. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying there's not a time and place for some things, or let's say you're just trying to connect to an exercise on an activation movement. By all means, have at it. But if you're doing squats, deadlifts, chest pressing of any kind, rowing of any kind, dear God, rip that thing like you're mad at it. And I promise you'll see better progress.
Yeah.
And the bad thing is, like, I think so many people look at it as an extremes and they think, oh, well, fast is erratic in bad form. I challenge anyone to go to URI's page and find an exercise that we're doing with poor form. And to find an exercise that we're doing where the target muscle isn't blown the fuck out. And you can watch it through clothes, through pants, through shorts. I'm sorry. Someone just sent me a message the other day like, dear God, your rear delts are going to blow out of your shirt. I had a t-shirt and a shirt on over top of it. Yeah, that's because I don't train in this like hyper, like perfect clinical library book workouts. And it's really interesting. I don't think I've told you this, Dave. So Danny and I, La Martina, are going to start a series about like I'm going to call it the bro versus the brain, and we're going to talk about like how we can integrate like all the scientific shit into what all us dumb meatheads have been doing right for fucking decades.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty excited about it, like because I don't think there needs to be like their side and us. It needs to be,
No.
and
Yeah.
and I think this, I will say this out loud. When you and I were coming up in bodybuilding, we prayed that the giant guys in the gym would just give us a sprinkling of knowledge because there wasn't this widespread information overload on the internet that we had access to. It was like you had bodybuilding magazines, you had books, and then any of the big dudes around you.
Mm.
It wasn't like a 135-pound kid could get on the internet and give me a research study and tell me how this is so much more effective. There was none of that. If there was a 135-pound kid in the gym, no one talked to him. They didn't think he was anything because his physique didn't speak for that. It
Mhm.
was, who was that monster over in the corner pulling 6 plates off the floor? Okay, yeah, I want to know how he does that. Like, or you saw Ronnie Coleman in the magazines or a DVD, and you're like, God, he's fucking rolling the 200-pound dumbbells on incline. That's got to be how you get a big chest. Awesome. Now let's go in there. I'll take the 100-pound dumbbells and try to make it look like his 200s. And then
Mhm.
each week, try to just inch towards his 200. Like, yeah, it's an interesting world we live in. Because they'll argue with us that anecdotal evidence isn't evidence. It's not a study, Chris. Like, I don't care about the pounds of muscle you've packed on people.
Mhm.
How is that not a study? Like, I joked to her, I said, I would literally like to be known as like the Christopher Columbus of muscle building. Like, fuck around and find out. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you and I like were doing lengthened partials well before anyone made a fucking research study about it. You and I both knew that by doing that on a hamstring curl, it destroyed our hamstring.
Yeah.
You
Arm
felt
chest
it.
fly.
You felt it instantly.
Hmm.
Guess what? I didn't need a 42-page PubMed study to tell me that. If I kept
Yeah.
doing that and got stronger at it and got deeper into that pain zone, then my hamstrings were going to be better. Next thing I knew, my hamstrings just started doing this and then this. And then, oh, yeah, by the way, Chris, your hamstrings are one of your best body parts. No fucking shit. Yeah, I just got real fired up there to finish this
Hmm.
because I think I get so frustrated in the fact that I think people forget this too, right? There's a running joke in the bodybuilding community that we've been doing things right for a very long time before there's any evidence showing that it's proper.
Hmm.
And you and I aren't scared of our own damn shadow to try something and be like, huh, that was stupid. We won't do that again. Or,
Yeah.
man, that felt pretty good. Here, you try this. You tell me what you think. And then I give it to someone else and they try, like, man, Chris, that felt fucking incredible. Like something I've been trying with arms lately is I just posted this where I go skull crushers to a dip iso hold.
Hmm.
No study that does that, but I'm telling you, if you try that tomorrow on your next arm day, your arms will be blown the hell out, and you'll know that it works. Where did I think to do that? Look at any professional gymnast or Olympic level gymnast who does the rings or any of those parallel bars. They have monster triceps. What are they doing? ISO holds on those parallel bars. Cool. How can I apply it to our training? Do a shitload of skull crushers until you fail, and then go hold that for 60 to 60 seconds.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
This is the biggest my arms have ever been. Weird, right? Maybe when I'm
Yeah.
80, you'll have a study that shows the ISO hold for the tricep works.
Yeah.
I told you fuckers. Yeah, it is what it is. So,
Hmm.
any final thoughts for today, man?
No, I think that's about perfect.
Yeah, I feel the same way. No, we rolled through those questions. Thank you all. I will say this again. Thank you all for people who gave those.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like all of the time Dave and I have spent in the gym with clients researching bodybuilding, living bodybuilding, like it's a wealth of knowledge that we're happy to share because this to me is how good information gets passed. Um, it's how I've always related to it. And so many people gave me so much free information as I was coming up. It's the least I can do to uh, pay that forward. So
Yeah.
until next time, Chris, Dave, we are done.